Thunderstorms by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. My mind has thunderstorms that brood for heavy hours. Until they rain me words, my thoughts are drooping flowers and sulking silent birds. Yet come, dark thunderstorms, and brood your heavy hours, for when you'll rain me words, my thoughts are dancing flowers and joyful singing birds. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Strong Moments from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Sometimes I hear fine ladies sing. Sometimes I smoke and drink with men. Sometimes I play at games of cards. Judge me to be no strong man then. The strongest moment of my life is when I think about the poor, when like a spring that rain has fed, my pity rises more and more. The flower that loves the warmth and light has all its mornings bathed in dew. My heart has moments wet with tears. My weakness is they are so few. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Greeting by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Good morning, life, and all things glad and beautiful. My pockets nothing hold, but he that owns the gold. The sun is my great friend, his spending has no end. Hail to the morning sky, which bright clouds measure high. Hail to you birds whose throats would number leaves by notes. Hail to you shady bowers, and you green fields of flowers. Hail to you women fair, that make a show so rare, in cloth as white as milk, be it calico or silk. Good morning, life, and all things glad and beautiful. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Sweet Stay at Home from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Sweet stay at home, sweet well content, thou knowest of no strange continent. Thou hast not felt thy bosom keep a gentle motion with the deep. Thou hast not sailed in Indian seas, where scent comes forth in every breeze. Thou hast not seen the rich grape grow for miles as far as eyes can go. Thou hast not seen a summer's night when maids could sew by a worm's light, nor the North Sea in spring send out bright hues that like birds flit about in solid cages of white ice. Sweet stay at home, sweet love one place. Thou hast not seen black fingers pick white cotton when the bloom is thick, nor heard black throats in harmony, nor hast thou sat on stones that lie flat on the earth that once did rise to hide proud kings from common eyes. Thou hast not seen plains full of bloom, where green things had such little room. They pleased the eye like fairer flowers. Sweet stay at home all these long hours. Sweet well content, sweet love one place. Sweet simple maid, bless thy dear face. For thou hast made more homely stuff. Nurture thy gentle self enough. I love thee for a heart that's kind, not for the knowledge in thy mind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Starved from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. My little lamb, what is amiss? If there was milk in mother's kiss, you would not look as white as this. The wolf of hunger, it is he that takes away thy milk from me, and I have much to do for thee. If thou couldst live on love, I know no babe in all the land could show more rosy cheeks and louder crow. Thy father's dead, alas for thee! I cannot keep this wolf from me, that takes thy milk so bold and free. If thy dear father lived, he'd drive away this beast with whom I strive, and thou, my pretty lamb, wouldst thrive. Ah, my poor babe, my love so great, I'd swallow common rags for meat, if they could make milk rich and sweet. My little lamb, what is amiss? Come, I must wake thee with a kiss, for death would own a sleep like this. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A May Morning from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. The sky is clear, the sun is bright, the cows are red, the sheep are white. Trees in the meadows make happy shadows. Birds in the hedge are perched and sing, swallows and larks are on the wing. Two merry cuckoos are making echoes. Birds and the beast have the dew yet. My road shines dry, theirs bright and wet. Death gives no warning on this May morning. I see no Christ nailed on a tree, dying for sin. No sin I see. No thoughts for sadness, all thoughts for gladness. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Lonely Dreamer from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. He lives his lonely life, and when he dies, 1,000 hearts maybe will utter sighs, because they liked his songs, and now their bird sleeps with his head beneath his wing, unheard. But what kind hand will tend his grave, and bring those blossoms there of which he used to sing? Who'll kiss his mound and wish the time would come to lie with him inside that silent tomb? And who'll forget the dreamer's skill and shed a tear because a loving heart is dead? Hey ho for gossip then and common sighs, and let his death bring tears in no one's eyes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Christmas from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Christmas has come, let's eat and drink. There is no time to sit and think. Farewell to study, books and pen, and welcome to all kinds of men. Let all men now get rid of care, and what one has let others share. Then 'tis the same, no matter which of us is poor or which is rich. Let each man have enough this day, since those that can are glad to pay. There's nothing now too rich or good for poor men, not the king's own food. Now like a singing bird my feet touch earth, and I must drink and eat. Welcome to all men, I'll not care what any of my fellows wear. We'll not let cloth divide our souls, they'll swim stark naked in the bowls. Welcome, poor beggar, I'll not see that hand of yours dislodge a flea, while you sit at my side and beg, or right foot scratching your left leg. Farewell, restraint. We will not now measure the ale our brains allow, but drink as much as we can hold. We'll count no change when we spend gold. This is no time to save, but spend, to give for nothing, not to lend. Let foes make friends, let them forget the mischief-making dead that fret. The living with complaint like this, he wronged us once, hate him and his. Christmas has come. Let every man eat, drink, be merry all he can. Ale's my best mark, but if port wine or whisky's yours, let it be mine. No matter what lies in the bowls, we'll make it rich with our own souls. Farewell to study, books, and pen, and welcome to all kinds of men. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Laughing Rose from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. If I were gusty April now, how I would blow at Laughing Rose. I'd make her ribbons slip their knots, and all her hair come loose. If I were merry April now, how I would pelt her cheeks with showers. I'd make carnations rich and warm of her vermilion flowers. Since she will laugh in April's face, no matter how he rains or blows, then oh that I wild April were, to play with Laughing Rose. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Seeking Joy from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Joy, how I sought thee! Silver I spent and gold on the pleasures of this world, in splendid garments clad. The wine I drank was sweet, rich morsels I did eat. Oh, but my life was sad. Joy, how I sought thee! Joy, I have found thee, far from the halls of mirth, back to the soft green earth, where people are not many. I find thee, joy, in hours, with clouds and birds and flowers. Thou dost not charge one penny. Joy, I have found thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Old Oak Tree from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. I sit beneath your leaves, old oak, you mighty one of all the trees, within whose hollow trunk a man could stable his big horse with ease. I see your knuckles hard and strong, but have no fear they'll come to blows. Your life is long and mine is short, but which has known the greater woes? Thou hast not seen starved women here, or man gone mad because ill-fed, who stares at stones in city streets, mistaking them for hunks of bread. Thou hast not felt the shivering backs of homeless children lying down and sleeping in the cold night air, like doors and walls in London town. Knowing thou hast not known such shame, and only storms have come thy way, methinks I could in comfort spend my summer with thee day by day, to lie by day in thy green shade, and in thy hollow rest at night, and through the open doorway see the stars turn over leaves of light. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Poor Kings from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. God's pity on poor kings, they know no gentle rest. The north and south cry out, cries come from east and west. Come open this new dock, building, bazaar, or fair. Lord, what a wretched life such men must bear. They're followed, watched, and spied, no liberty they know. Some eye will watch them still, no matter where they go. When in green lanes I muse, alone, and hear birds sing. God's pity then, say I, on some poor king. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love and the Muse, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. My back is turned on spring and all her flowers. The birds no longer charm from tree to tree. The cuckoo had his home in this green world 10 days before his voice was heard by me. Had I an answer from a dear one's lips, my love of life would soon regain its power, and suckle my sweet dreams that tug my heart and whimper to be nourished every hour. Give me that answer now, and then my muse, that for my sweet life's sake must never die, will rise like that great wave that leaps and hangs the seaweed on a vessel's mast top high. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. My Youth, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. My youth was my old age, weary and long. It had too many cares to think of song. My molting days all came when I was young. Now in life's prime my soul comes out in flower. Late as with robin comes my singing power. I was not born to joy till this late hour. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Smiles, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. I saw a black girl once, as black as winter's night, till through her parting lips there came a flood of light. It was the Milky Way across her face so black. Her two lips closed again and night came back. I see a maiden now, fair as a summer's day, yet through her parting lips I see the Milky Way. It makes the broad daylight in summertime look black. Her two lips close again, and night comes back. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Mad Pole, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. There goes Mad Pole, dressed in wild flowers. Poor crazy Pole, now old and wan. Her hair all down like any child, she swings her two arms like a man. Poor crazy Pole is never sad. She never misses one that dies. When neighbors show their newborn babes, they seem familiar to her eyes. Her bonnet's always in her hand, or on the ground and lying near. She thinks it is a thing for play, or pretty show, and not to wear. She gives the sick no sympathy. She never soothes a child that cries. She never whimpers night or day. She makes no moans, she makes no sighs. She talks about some battle old, fought many a day from yesterday. And when that war is done, her love, ha ha, Poll laughs, and skips away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Joy Supreme, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. The birds are pirates of her notes. The blossoms steal her face's light. The stars in ambush lie all day to take her glances for the night. Her voice can shame rain-pelted leaves. Young robin has no notes as sweet. In autumn, when the air is still, and all the other birds are mute. When I set eyes on ripe red plums, that seem a sin and shame to bite, such are her lips which I would kiss, and still would keep before my sight. When I behold proud gossamer make silent billows in the air, then think I of her head's fine stuff, finer than gossamer's, I swear. The miser has his joy with gold beneath his pillow in the night. My head shall lie on soft warm hair, and misers know not that delight. Captains that own their ships can boast the joy to feel the rolling brine, but I shall lie near her and feel her soft warm bosom swell on mine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Francis Thompson, from Foliage, by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Thou hadst no home, and thou couldst see in every street the window's light, dragging thy limbs about all night. No window kept a light for thee. However much thou wert distressed, or tired of moving, and felt sick, thy life was on the open deck. Thou hadst no cabin for thy rest. Thy bark was helpless 'neath the sky. No pilot thought thee worth his pains to guide for love or money gains. Like phantom ships the rich sailed by. Thy shadow mocked thee night and day. Thy life's companion, it alone. It did not sigh, it did not moan, but mocked thy moves in every way. In spite of all, the mind had force, and like a stream whose surface flows the wrong way when a strong wind blows, it underneath maintained its course. Oft didst thou think thy mind would flower, too late for good, as some bruised tree that blooms in autumn, and we see fruit not worth picking, hard and sour. Some poets feign their wounds and scars. If they had known real suffering hours, they'd show in place of fancy's flowers more of imagination's stars. So if thy fruits of poesy are rich, it is at this dear cost, that they were nipped by sorrow's frost in nights of homeless misery. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Birdman, from Foliage, by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Man is a bird. He rises on fine wings into the heaven's clear light. He flies away and sings. There's music in his flight. Man is a bird. In swiftest speed he burns with twist and dive and leap. A bird whose sudden turns can drive the frightened sheep. Man is a bird over the mountain high, whose head is in the skies. Cut from its shoulders by a cloud, the birdman flies. Man is a bird. Eagles from mountain crags swooped down to prove his worth, but now they rise to drag him down from heaven to earth. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Winter's Beauty, from Foliage, by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Is it not fine to walk in spring, when leaves are born, and hear birds sing? And when they lose their singing powers, in summer watch the bees at flowers? Is it not fine, when summer's past, to have the leaves no longer fast, biting my heel where'er I go, or dancing lightly on my toe? Now winter's here, and rivers freeze. As I walk out, I see the trees, wherein the pretty squirrels sleep, all standing in the snow so deep. and every twig, however small, is blossomed white and beautiful. Then welcome, winter, with thy power to make this tree a big white flower, to make this tree a lovely sight, with 50 brown arms draped in white, while thousands of small fingers show in soft white gloves of purest snow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Church Organ, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. The homeless man has heard thy voice. Its sound doth move his memory deep. He stares bewildered, as a man that's shook by earthquake in his sleep. Thy solemn voice doth bring to mind the days that are forever gone. Thou bringest to mind our early days, ere we made second homes or none. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Hey Ho, the Rain, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. The lark that in heaven dim can match a rainy hour, with his own music's shower can make me sing like him. Hey ho, the rain! Sing when a nightingale pours forth her own sweet soul to hear dread thunder roll into a tearful tale. Hey ho, the rain! Sing when a sparrow's seen trying to lie at rest by pressing his warm breast to leaves so wet and green. Hey ho, the rain! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love's Inspiration, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Give me the chance, and I will make thy thoughts of me like worms this day. Take wings and change to butterflies that in the golden light shall play. Thy cold, clear heart, the quiet pool that never heard love's nightingale, shall hear his music night and day, and in no seasons shall it fail. I'll make thy happy heart my port, where all my thoughts are anchored fast. Thy meditations full of praise, the flags of glory on each mast. I'll make my soul thy shepherd soon, with all thy thoughts my grateful flock. And thou shalt say each time I go, how long, my love, ere thou'lt come back. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Night Wanderers, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. They hear the bell of midnight toll, and shiver in their flesh and soul. They lie on hard, cold wood or stone, iron and ache in every bone. They hate the night. They see no eyes of loved ones in the starlit skies. They see the cold, dark water near. They dare not take long looks for fear. They'll fall like those poor birds that see a snake's eye staring at their tree. Some of them laugh, half mad, and some all through the chilly night are dumb. Like poor weak infants, some converse, and cough like giants, deep and hoarse. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Young Beauty, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. When at each door the ruffian winds have laid a dying man to groan, and filled the air on winter nights with cries of infants left alone, then everything that has a bed will sigh for others that have none. On such a night, when bitter cold, young beauty full of love, thought sweet, can redden in her looking glass. With but one gown on, in bare feet, she from her own reflected charms can feel the joy of summer's heat. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Who I Know, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. I do not know his Grace the Duke, outside whose gilded gate there died of want a feeble poor old man, with but his shadow at his side. I do not know his lady fair, who in a bath of milk doth lie, more milk than could feed 50 babes, that for the want of it must die. But well I know the mother poor, 3 pounds of flesh wrapped in her shawl, a puny babe that, stripped at home, looks like a rabbit skinned so small. And well I know the homeless waif, fed by the poorest of the poor, since I have seen that child alone, crying against a bolted door. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Sweet Birds I Come, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. The bird that now on bush and tree, near leaves so green, looks down to see flowers looking up, he either sings in ecstasy or claps his wings. Why should I slave for finer dress or ornaments? Will flowers smile less for rags than silk? Are birds less dumb? For tramp than squire, sweet birds, I come. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Two Lives, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Now how could I, with gold to spare, who knows the harlot's arms and wine, sit in this green field all alone, if nature was not truly mine? That pleasure life wakes stale at morn, from heavy sleep that no rest brings. This life of quiet joy wakes fresh, and claps its wings at morn and sings. So here sit I, alone till noon, in one long dream of quiet bliss. I hear the lark and share his joy, with no more wine drops than were his. Such, nature, is thy charm and power, since I have made the muse my wife, to keep me from the harlot's arms, and save me from a drunkard's life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Hidden Love, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. The bird of fortune sings when free, but captured soon grows dumb, and we, to hear his fast declining powers, must soon forget that he is ours. So when I win that maid, no doubt, love soon will seem to be half out. Like blighted leaves drooped to the ground, whose roots are still untouched and sound, so will our love's roots still be strong, when others think the leaves go wrong. Though we may quarrel, 'twill not prove that she and I are less in love. The parrot, though he mocked the dove, died when she died, and proved his love. When merry springtime comes, we hear how all things into love must stir, how birds would rather sing than eat, how joyful sheep would rather bleat, and daffodils nod heads of gold, and dance in April's sparkling cold. So in our early love did we dance much, and skip and laugh with glee. But let none think our love is flown, if when we're married little's shown. E'en though our lips be dumb of song, our hearts can still be singing strong. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Life is Jolly, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. This life is jolly, oh! I envy no man's lot. My eyes can much admire, and still my heart crave not. There's no true joy in gold, it breeds desire for more. Whatever wealth man has, desire can keep him poor. This life is jolly, oh! Power has his fawning slaves, but if he rests his mind, those wretches turn bold knaves. Fame's field is full of flowers, it dazzles as we pass, but men who walk that field starve for the common grass. This life is jolly, oh! Let others know they die, enough to know I live, and make no question why. I care not whence I came, nor whither I shall go. Let others think of these. This life is jolly, oh! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Fog, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. I saw the fog grow thick, which soon made blind my ken. It made tall men of boys and giants of tall men. It clutched my throat, I coughed. Nothing was in my head except two heavy eyes like balls of burning lead. And when it grew so black that I could know no place, I lost all judgment then of distance and of space. The street lamps and the lights upon the halted cars could either be on earth or be the heavenly stars. A man passed by me close. I asked my way. He said, "Come follow me, my friend." I followed where he led. He rapped the stones in front. "Trust me," he said, "and come." I followed like a child. A blind man led me home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Woman's Charms, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. My purse is yours, sweetheart, for I can count no coins with you close by. I scorn like sailors them, when they have drawn on shore their deep-sea pay. Only my thoughts I value now, which like the simple glow-worms throw their beams to greet thee bravely, love. Their glorious light in heaven above, since I have felt thy waves of light beating against my soul, the sight of gems from Afric's continent move me to no great wonderment. Since I, sweetheart, have known thine hair, the fur of ermine, sable bear, or silver fox for me can keep no more to praise than common sheep. Though 10 Isaiah's souls were mine, they could not sing such charms as thine. 2 little hands that show with pride, 2 timid little feet that hide, 2 eyes no darks in yours show, they're burning like in Mexico. 2 coral gates wherein is shown your queen of charms on a white throne. Your queen of charms, the lovely smile that on its white throne could beguile the mastiff from his gates in hell, who by no whine or bark could tell his masters what thing made him go, and countless other charms I know. October's hedge has far less hues than thou hast charms from which to choose. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Dreams of the Sea, from Foliage by William Henry Davies. Franklin. I know not why I yearn for thee again, to sail once more upon thy fickle flood. I'll hear thy waves wash under my deathbed, thy salt is lodged forever in my blood. Yet I have seen thee lash the vessel's sides in fury with thy many-tailed whip, and I have seen thee too, like Galilee, when Jesus walked in peace to Simon's ship. And I have seen thy gentle breeze as soft as summer's when it makes the cornfields run. And I have seen thy rude and lusty gale make ships show half their bellies to the sun. Thou knowest the way to tame the wildest life. Thou knowest the way to bend the great and proud. I think of that armada whose puffed sails, greedy and large, came swallowing every cloud. But I have seen the sea-boy young and drowned, lying on shore, and by thy cruel hand. A seaweed beard was on his tender chin, his heaven-blue eyes were filled with common sand. And yet for all I yearn for thee again, to sail once more upon thy fickle flood. I'll hear thy waves wash under my deathbed, thy salt is lodged forever in my blood. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Wonder Maker, from Foliage, by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Come, if thou'rt cold to summer's charms, her cloud of green, her starry flowers, and let this bird, this wandering bird, make his fine wonder yours. He, hiding in the leaves so green, when sampling this fair world of ours, cries cuckoo, clear, and like Lot's wife, I look though it should cost my life. When I can hear that charmed one's voice, I taste of immortality. My joy is so great that on my heart doth lie eternity, as light as any little flower. So strong a wonder works in me. Cuckoo, he cries, and fills my soul with all that's rich and beautiful. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Helpless, from Foliage, by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Those poor heart-broken wretches doomed to hear at night the clock's hard tones. They have no beds to warm their limbs, but with those limbs must warm cold stones. Those poor weak men, whose coughs and ailings force them to tear at iron railings. Those helpless men that starve, my pity, whose waking day is never done, who save for their own shadows are doomed night and day to walk alone. They know no bright face but the sun's, so cold and dark are human ones. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. An Early Love, from Foliage, by William Henry Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Ah, sweet young blood that makes the heart so full of joy and light, that dying children dance with it from early morn till night. My dreams were blossoms, hers the fruit, she was my dearest care. With gentle hand, and for it I made playthings of her hair. I made my fingers rings of gold, and bangles for my wrist. You should have felt the soft warm thing I made to glove my fist. And she should have a crown, I swore, with only gold enough to keep together stones more rich than that fine metal stuff. Her golden hair gave me more joy than Jason's heart could hold, when all his men cried out, "Ah, look, he has the fleece of gold!" End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Dream Tragedies from Foliage by W.H.Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. Thou art not always kind, O sleep. What awful secrets them dost keep in store, and ofttimes make us know. What hero has not fallen low in sleep before a monster grim, and whined for mercy unto him? Knights, constables, and men at arms have quailed and whined in sleep's alarms. Thou wert not kind last night to make me like a very coward shake. Shake like a thin red currant bush robbed of its fruit by a strong thrush. I felt this earth did move more slow, and slower yet began to go. And not a bird was heard to sing, men and great beasts were shivering, all living things knew well that when this earth stood still, destruction then would follow with a mighty crash. 'Twas then I broke that awful hush. E'en as a mother who does come running in haste back to her home, and looks at once, and lo, the child she left asleep is gone, and wild she shrieks and loud, so did I break with a mad cry that dream and wake. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Children at Play from Foliage by W.H.Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. I hear a merry noise indeed. Is it the geese and ducks that take their first plunge in a quiet pond, that into scores of ripples break, or children make this merry sound? I see an oak tree, its strong back could not be bent an inch, though all its leaves were stone, or iron even. A boy with many a lusty call rides on a bough bare back through heaven. I see two children dig a hole, and plant in it a cherry stone. "We'll come to-morrow," one child said, "and then the tree will be full grown, and all its boughs have cherries red." Ah, children, what a life to lead! You love the flowers, but when they're past, no flowers are missed by your bright eyes, and when cold winter comes at last, snowflakes shall be your butterflies. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. When Cuckoo Sings from Foliage by W.H.Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. In summer, when the cuckoo sings, and clouds like greater moons can shine, when every leafy tree doth hold a loving heart that beats with mine. Now when the brook has cresses green as well as stones to check his pace, and if the owl appears he's forced by small birds to some hiding place, then like red robin in the spring I shun those haunts where men are found. My house holds little joy until leaves fall and birds can make no sound. Let none invade that wilderness, into whose dark green depths I go, save some fine lady, all in white, comes like a pillar of pure snow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Return to Nature from Foliage by W.H.Davies. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. My song is of that city which has men too poor and men too rich, where some are sick, too richly fed, while others take the sparrow's bread, where some have beds to warm their bones, while others sleep on hard cold stones that suck away their body's heat, where men are drunk in every street, men full of poison like those flies that still attack the horse's eyes, where some men freeze for want of cloth, while others show their jewels' worth and dress in satin, fur, or silk, where fine rich ladies wash in milk, while starving mothers have no food to make them fit in flesh and blood, so that their watery breasts can give their babies milk and make them live, where one man does the work of four and dies worn out before his hour, while some seek work in vain, and grief doth make their fretful lives as brief, where ragged men are seen to wait for charity that's small and late, while others haunt in idle leisure theatre doors to pay for pleasure. No more I'll walk those crowded places, and take hot dreams from harlots' faces. I'll know no more those passions' dreams, while musing near these quiet streams, that biting state of savage lust, which true love absent burns to dust. Gold's rattle shall not rob my ears of this sweet music of the spheres. I'll walk abroad with fancy free, each leafy summer's morn I'll see the trees, all legs or bodies, when they vary in their shape like men. I'll walk abroad and see again how quiet pools are pricked by rain, and you shall hear a song as sweet as when green leaves and raindrops meet. I'll hear the nightingale's fine mood rattling with thunder in the wood, made bolder by each mighty crash, who drives her notes with every flash of lightning through the summer's night. No more I'll walk in that pale light that shows the homeless man awake, ragged and cold, harlot and rake, that have their hearts in rags and die before that poor wretch they pass by. Nay, I have found a life so fine that every moment seems divine, by shunning all those pleasures full that bring repentance cold and dull. Such misery seen in days gone by that made a coward, now I fly to green things like a bird. Alas, in days gone by I could not pass 10 men, but what the eyes of one would burn me for no kindness done. And wretched women I passed by sent after me a moan or sigh. Ah, wretched days! For in that place my soul's leaves sought the human face, and not the sun's for warmth and light, and so was never free from blight. But seek me now, and you will find me on some soft green bank reclined, watching the stately deer close by, that in a great deep hollow lie, shaking their tails with all the ease that lambs can. First look for the trees, then, if you seek me, find me quick. Seek me no more where men are thick, but in green lanes where I can walk a mile, and still no human folk tread on my shadow. Seek me where the strange oak tree is, that can bear one white-leaved branch among the green, which many a woodman has not seen. If you would find me, go where cows and sheep stand under shady boughs, where furious squirrels shake a tree as though they'd like to bury me under a leaf shower heavy, and I laugh at them for spite and stand. Seek me no more in human ways, who am a coward since those days my mind was burnt by poor men's eyes and frozen by poor women's sighs. Then send your pearls across the sea, your feathers scent and ivory, you distant lands, but let my bales be brought by cuckoos, nightingales, that come in spring from your far shores, sweet birds that carry richer stores than men can dream of when they prize fine silks and pearls for merchandise, and dream of ships that take the floods, sunk to their decks with such vain goods, bringing that traitor silk, whose soft, smooth tongue persuades the poor too oft from sweet content, and pearls whose fires make ashes out of our best desires. For I have heard the sighs and whines of rich men that drink costly wines, and eat the best of fish and fowl, men that have plenty and still growl because they cannot like kings live. Alas, they whine, we cannot save. Since I have heard those rich ones sigh, made poor by their desires so high, I cherish more a simple mind, that I am well content to find my pictures in the open air, and let my walls and floors go bare, that I with lovely things can fill my rooms whene'er sweet fancy will. I make a fallen tree my chair, and soon forget no cushions there. I lie upon the grass or straw, and no soft down do I sigh for. For with me all the time I keep sweet dreams, that do I wake or sleep shed on me still their kindly beams. I am richer with my dreams than banks where men, dull-eyed and cold, without a tremble shovel gold. A happy life is this I walk, and hear more birds than people talk. I hear the birds that sing unseen on boughs now smothered with leaves green. I sit and watch the swallows there, making a circus in the air, that speed around straight-going crow, as sharks around a ship can go. I hear the skylark out of sight, hid perfectly in all this light. The dappled cows in fields I pass, up to their bosoms in deep grass. Old oak trees, with their bowels gone, I see with spring's green finery on. I watch the buzzing bees for hours, to see them rush at laughing flowers, and butterflies that lie so still. I see great houses on the hill, with shining roofs, and there shines one, it seems that heaven has dropped the sun. I see yon cloudlets sail the skies, racing with clouds 10 times its size. I walk green pathways where love waits, to talk in whispers at old gates, past stiles on which I lean alone, carved with the names of lovers gone. I stand on arches whose dark stones can turn the wind's soft sighs to groans. I hear the cuckoo when first he makes this green world's discovery, and recreates it in my mind, proving my eyes were growing blind. I see the rainbow come forth clear, and wave her coloured scarf to cheer the sun long swallowed by a flood. So do I live in lane and wood. Let me look forward to each spring, as eager as the birds that sing, and feed my eyes on spring's young flowers, before the bees by many hours. My heart to leap and sing her praise before the birds by many days. Go white my hair and skin go dry, but let my heart a dewdrop lie inside those leaves when they go wrong, as fresh as when my life was young. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Strange City, from Foliage by William Henry Davis. Read for LibriVox.org by Craig Franklin. A wondrous city that had temples there, more rich than that one built by David's son, which called forth offers gold when Israel made Lebanon half naked for her sake. I saw white towers where so-called traitors died, true men whose tongues were bells to honest hearts, and rang out boldly in false monarchs' ears. Saw old black gateways, on whose arches crouched stone lions with their bodies gnawed by age. I looked with awe on iron gates that could tell bloody stones if they had our tongues. I saw tall mounted spires shine in the sun, that stood amidst their army of low streets. I saw on buildings pictures, statues rare, made in those days when Rome was young and new. In marble quarried from Carrara's hills, statues by sculptors that could almost make fine cobwebs out of stone, so light they worked. Pictures that breathe in us a living soul, such as we seldom feel come from that life the artist copies. Many a lovely sight, such as the half-sunk barge with bales of hay, or sparkling coals, employed my wandering eyes. I saw old Thames, whose ripples swarmed with stars, bred by the sun on that fine summer's day. I saw in fancy foul and green banks there, and Lisa's barge rowed past 1,000 swans. I walked in parks and heard sweet music cry in solemn courtyards midst the men at arms, which suddenly would leap those stony walls and spring up with loud laughter into trees. I walked in busy streets where music oft went on the march with men, and ofttimes heard the organ in cathedral when the boys like nightingales sang in that thunderstorm, the organ with its rich and solemn tones, as near a God's voice as a man conceives, nor ever dreamt the silent misery that solemn organ brought to homeless men. I heard the drums and soft brass instruments, led by the silver cornets clear and high, whose sounds turned playing children into stone. I saw at night the city's lights shine bright, a greater Milky Way, how in its spell it fascinated with 10,000 eyes, like those sweet wiles of an enchantress who would still detain her knight gone cold in love. It was an iceberg with long arms unseen, that felt the deep for vessels far away. All things seemed strange. I stared like any child that pores on some old face, and sees a world which its familiar grandad and his dame hid with their love and laughter. Until then my feet had not yet felt the cruel rocks beneath the pleasant moss I seemed to tread. But soon my ears grew weary of that din, my eyes grew tired of all that flesh and stone, and as a snail that crawls on a smooth stalk will reach the end and find a sharpened thorn, so did I reach the cruel end at last. I saw the starving mother and her child, who feared that death would surely end its sleep, and cursed the wolf of hunger with her moans. And yet methought, when first I entered there, into that city with my wandering mind, how marvellous its many sights and sounds. The traffic, with its sound of heavy seas that have and would again unseat the rocks. How common then seemed nature's hills and fields, compared with these high domes and even streets, and churches with white towers and bodies black. The traffic sound was music to my ears, a sound of where the white waves hour by hour attack a reef of coral rising yet, or where a mighty warship in a fog steams into a large fleet of little boats. Ay, and that fog was strange and wonderful, that made men blind and grope their way at noon. I saw that city with fierce human surge, with millions of dark waves that still spread out, to swallow more of their green boundaries. Then came a day that noise so stirred my soul, I called them hellish sounds, and thought red war was better far than peace in such a town. To hear that din all day, sometimes my mind went crazed, and it seemed strange, as I were lost in some vast forest full of chattering apes. How sick I grew to hear that lasting noise, and all those people forced across my sight, knowing the acres of green fields and woods that in some country parts outnumbered men. In half an hour 10,000 men I passed. More than 9,000 should have been green trees. There on a summer's day I saw such crowds that where there was no man's shadow was, millions all cramped together in one hive, storing methought more bitter stuff than sweet. The air was foul and stale from their green homes. Young blood had brought its fresh and rosy cheeks, which soon turned colour like blue streams in flood. Ay, solitude, black solitude indeed, to meet a million souls and know not one. This world must soon grow stale to one compelled to look all day at faces strange and cold. Oft full of smoke that town, its summer's day was darker than a summer's night at sea. Poison was there, and still men rushed for it, like cows for acorns that have made them sick. That town was rich and old, man's flesh was cheap, but common earth was dear to buy 1 foot. If I must be fenced in, then let my fence be some green hedgerow under its green sprays that shake suspended. Let me walk in joy, as I do now, in these dear months I love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of Foliage by William Henry Davies.